I think maybe the most important thing I said last night was that I know the Republicans are my biggest opposition. And I think that may be, I think that may be a breakthrough moment for some of the people that thought I was elected. But, and he has questions about the data. We should give him copies of the data, but go ahead.
No, yeah, I just want to conclude and nip it in the bud that we want to be open.
Right.
So as long as you're comfortable,
I'm comfortable.
and as long as everyone else in the room is comfortable.
Yeah.
Our
great.
focus should be on
Exactly.
not-
And, yeah, it's not a public meeting. We're not having a debate. This is a strategy meeting, and you're welcome to hear what we're planning to do. I don't think that anything I'm about to say I haven't already said in public before, but we're going to get into some details about your particular county and how about that?
Sounds like, to me, everybody here is just interested in fair and honest elections.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care who wins. I just want to be free and fair. I mean, if it's a left-leaning community, they ought to have left-leaning leaders. If it's a right-leaning community, I ought to have right-leaning leaders. That's the way America is set up. So that's yeah.
I agree. Free and fair.
Free and fair. That's all I want. So it's interesting, as a way of introduction. Since I travel the whole country, I've been intimately involved like this all over the country since January of 2021.
There it was.
Okay, so I have a really
still
good.
alive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think people hate me. I hope not. So I think I have a really good feeling for the country and different places, and definitely this place is different. Every place I go is different. Oregon is its own unique situation. And for example, I just came from the Panhandle. If you look at Alabama and you just go south of Alabama, you hit into the Florida Panhandle. In fact, and it's so conservative. It's very much like Alabama. They even call it Southern Alabama. They joke about the Panhandle. And
I was a Fort Mother representative.
so you know what it's like.
Was our
So just to give a contrast, in Alabama, 98% of the people who vote in person on election day. There isn't another state in the country like that. And they have massive turnouts, huge participation. It's a cultural thing. You take 10 steps and go over the border into Southern Alabama, the Panhandle of Florida, and suddenly 30% of the people there vote by mail. It's the same people, same neighborhoods. Some of the cities even straddle the border, right? I mean, it's an interesting situation. It's cultural. And the people there say, oh, we love our mail-in balloting because it's so convenient, just like they say in Oregon. They love the mail-in balloting. And I'm like, okay, it's okay that you like it's convenient, but you got to realize it's also convenient for the cheaters, okay? And so then they say, well, yeah, but we're conservative here. There's no cheating. That's not fun. Okay, all right. And so, and the cheating's on both sides. So let's find some of that cheating. And so my goal is to show them that there's cheating. And I'm not going to show it with statistics. It's one thing to say, Dr. Frank said this. Another thing to say, Mr. Liddell said that. President Trump says that. Hillary Clinton says it. Remember Hillary Clinton was saying, Russia, 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 right? It's one thing to have somebody saying things. It's another thing for you to find fraud in your own community with your own hands. That's a completely different thing. And when you can say, I knocked on this door and here's the death certificate. This guy's been dead for 10 years, but somebody is casting ballots for him. That's a completely different thing than Dr. Frank saying, I want to enable you to do that. And then once you're doing that and 10 other counties are doing the same, now you have power. Now you have the ability to go to your legislature and say, this is not wackadoodles and coos. This is not crazy people in Cook County. This is a statewide problem. And we're not going to comply with your system anymore because it's unconstitutional. It's disenfranchising our citizens from their real ballot. Yes.
When you take it to the legislature, what's the process time? Like when you started it at Shasta,
Yeah.
start to where we're at now, how long did that
Good
take?
question. So when I say take it to the legislature, I'm not really saying take it to the legislature. I'm
Okay.
saying we're going to draw a line in the sand. And the legislature is going to be forced to respond.
How are they forced? How are they literally?
Because they are going to hate it. They are going to come after you guys. They are going to not be
What's
happy.
the time frame on this? Can this be done before November?
100%. In fact, I think We already had multiple counties ready west of the Cascades. Right now, what I'm gonna tell you to do to prepare, we already have other counties that are already
Signing
prepared.
it.
And we held off on that
Probably not.
because I discovered, because I'm not from here, holy mackerel, you've got these really rebellious counties on the other side of the mountains. Why aren't we including them? They're willing to draw a line in the sand and say, pound sand, we're not gonna comply. Let's get them on board. It strengthens our stand. And I'm not an insurrectionist. Everything we're gonna do is legal. Everything we're gonna do is legal. But we're just gonna say enough is enough. We're not gonna comply with your unconstitutional rules anymore. And it's already been proven in court that they're out of compliance. So you don't have to comply with an uncompliant system.
Another question.
Yeah.
If they say, okay, screw you, can they just go ahead and tell you the votes about that county?
Yeah, they could. Boy, would that be a Supreme Court case?
Yeah.
But could they?
Of course, they could do anything.
Yeah, they've been doing just about whatever they want.
That's right.
Because they could do that.
Right. And so, boy, would that be awesome.
I'm not gonna.
I would love it if that
count the whole
happened. Are you
county.
kidding? That'd be a Supreme Court case in an instant.
But-
You talk about disenfranchising people from their constitutional rights. They're worried about IDs blocking a few colored people from voting. Dude, you just took a whole county
Jim
out.
Crow 2.0.
Yeah,
But what
exactly.
would be their reasoning that they could say that? What would they say?
They could say, well, these numbers are not certified. We can't include them. They could say
Is
that.
that legal for them to say that?
That would be decided in court, huh?
And how long would that take?
Who knows?
So by November, yeah, okay.
Okay, so good question. So what you're saying is, what can we accomplish by November? What I'm
Before
saying is,
the shit hits the fan, 'cause you mentioned Trump doing something.
I'm telling you,
That's what I'm worried
that's gonna happen.
Okay.
So in one respect, it almost doesn't matter what you just asked.
Yeah.
What matters to me is not that we have everything all tied up in a bow and everybody's happy now and both parties are happy and everybody's voting perfectly in November. That's not my objective. My objective is to have the people aware, engaged, and drawn the line in the sand.
And get ready.
And already be running your own election locally.
Okay. Yeah.
And that is what we have to have. Because if the president then says, boom, we're not, you're gonna have to run your own election locally anyway. And there may be troops involved too. And
Yeah.
boy, would that be a mess. Wouldn't it be, here's an example. So my house was hit by a tornado in 1998 out in Ohio. And I was president of the homeowners association and we had 40 units. And just by the most wonderful coincidence, we were already planning to re-roof about a third of our units. And on a Thursday morning, the trucks had backed up and put out all the shingles. You know, they were in bundles in all the driveways. The next morning, a tornado hit and took off a bunch of the roofs. I called up the roofer and he says, "Hey, Dr. Frank, we're not coming out till they're Monday." I said, "No, you're coming out today, okay?"
Yeah, and bring sheeting.
Exactly. And they came out and we were completely secure within the day. Before Friday was over, every house was protected, so we didn't have any rain damage, blah, blah, blah. So the Red Cross shows up the next day and they're like, "Well, you don't need us here." Exactly. Because why? We were prepared. Now, it wasn't a deliberate preparation. It was a beautiful accident. Okay. But so the Red Cross went to the neighborhoods where it was a disaster, right? And it was a wonderful situation. In fact, they used us as kind of a staging point for all the other communities because we were stable already. Right? It's an interesting situation. Now, imagine the tornado that hits in November.
Mhm.
Are we ready?
No.
Let's get ready and be ready. And if you were already ready, you could have an orderly, peaceful resolution of it instead of having a map. What do we do now? You know, I just think, I think if you know a tornado is coming and you don't prepare, that's just irresponsible. And we shouldn't be waiting for the government to fix things. We're the government. We the people are the government. So that's really my mission right now. My mission is to get you guys going, prepared, working together, informed, ready to go. And if we have a clean election, great, then it won't be overturned and we'll move on. But if we have a dirty election and Trump, we're gonna have a messy time. So I think that's pretty good by introduction. your timeline question is a great question. Keep in mind, multiple other states are doing this too, so you're not gonna be alone. I'm particularly excited about Oregon because we already have so many of our counties ready, and we're about to add a bunch as well. I think you're gonna be ahead, you are ahead of most of the other states I have. I have great teams in Wisconsin, Alabama, Maine, Missouri, California, Colorado. What else I have good teams? Right now, those are my lead teams, and so I've been concentrating on those right now. What am I looking for? To your question about the legislature. And I didn't get to this stuff last night as much as I would have liked. But not complaining, it was a good discussion. If you complain and you go see the legislature, they're not gonna fix it. I'm telling you right now. So nothing is gonna happen. If you go and you complain to the Secretary of State, nothing's gonna happen. I already know, we've done this you're wasting your time. What will work is when you bring it to a crisis point. When you draw a line in the sand and say, we're not gonna comply, you're forcing their hand.
Yeah.
You're forcing them to engage. And they won't engage until you draw that line in the sand.
But if their alternative is to engage and then it's a fair election and they've got, anyway, they've got somebody else telling, anyway.
I'm so glad you said that. Now,
Don't do that.
so let me just talk, you guys have seen the 7 steps? We handed them out, anybody else need one? Yeah, sure. So, let me talk about, this is what we need, when I leave today, I would like to have a functioning team. Okay, and let's just talk about what that team is. So step 1 is get connected. You guys have done that now. Although on the back of this, there's thecauseofamerica.org. If you'll sign up there, it's free. And I don't think you get buried with too many emails. You know, a lot of times you sign up for stuff, you get, how many do you get a week?
100.
Yeah, but from Cause of America?
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2 a week? So that's not too bad, yes? And basically they're informing you what's going on around the country in this movement, okay? So it connects you to other people that are doing the same stuff too. So they'll tell you, hey, we're gonna have a national meeting on Monday night, Dr. Frank's gonna talk about binders. So it's a good connection. So please connect. So that's step 1, get connected. Also, Teresa is like my state, and Stephen are really helping me right now. I also have other people in the state, but let me not get distracted. So getting connected, that's step 1. Step 2, start by assembling a small
We got a small one.
local team. And I made mistakes in the early days. I tried to get too many people involved too fast, and you just have a bunch of drama. Small local team of selfless, like-minded patriots who believe strongly in the team objectives. What is our team objective? We want to fix our elections. Not fix them. We want to reform them.
Not fix them.
Before you do it, exactly. You need at least 7 core people. 7 core people. Okay. A team leader, data person, promoter, recruiter, researcher, strategist, and archivist. And I want to talk about each one of those roles today. And then you'll look at your own skills and your own God-given gifts, and you'll say, that sounds like me. I don't want to be that. And so let's make that team happen today, if that makes sense. Meet together in person to strategize and begin developing a local plan. Let me make a playful illustration. Let's say that Canada invaded us today. Okay, what would you do? When people say, we laugh. Okay.
Where's the cartel invaded?
Okay, fair. Okay, that's a better example. Let's say the cartel invaded us. What would be your reaction? Well, a lot of us would grab our guns and, okay, we're gonna go defend the country, right? But I actually think that that's a good instinct, but it's also the wrong response. The right response is for us to meet here. Put the map of your county, define our perimeter. Where are we secure? Where are we vulnerable? You defend yourself, and what resources do we have? What ammunition do we have? How many people know how to shoot a gun? How many people know how to do reconnaissance? And in other words, you get organized first. Then once you've secured your family and your property, now we find other communities that are also similarly organized. And we strategize together and we act together. We push them back across the border. That's the right response to an invasion. And as I travel the country, there are too many election integrity groups that are like, one person is leading a movement. Give me money, we're gonna have a lawsuit. That's not how you win. We win by organizing and behaving in a logical, strategic way together. That's how we win. And that's what I'm doing here today. So I want you guys to think that way. Coos County is important, but you're actually part of Oregon, which you're actually part of the United States. And so we have infrastructure in all that category. We need to build that local infrastructure here. Your local ward council, I guess you could call it, right? So it's 7 people. Okay, so far, the team leader has been Mary. Where are you, Mary?
She stepped out.
She stepped out. She's
Nope.
There she
She's
is.
here.
So you've been serving as our leader, right?
Right.
So the job of the leader is not to do the work.
Delegate.
The job of the leader, the general doesn't pick up a gun and run out against the enemy. The general stands back, makes sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing.
It had.
And I actually joke about Mary all over the country, and I mean it in a good way, Mary. So I've got this lady out in Coos County out in Oregon. She drives me crazy. Because she's always calling me saying, I need this, I need this, I need this. That's her job. She's a good leader. She's not doing the work. She's organizing the work and saying, I need this for this, I need this for this. That's the job of the leader. So good job. I give you kudos. All over the country, I give you kudos. Okay, so that's what a leader is. The data person, we need a new data person, I think, or to help Marty. Anybody good at Excel? Anybody like Excel? If I give you an Excel spreadsheet, would you know how to look at it?
You need to ask Chris. Isn't Chris really good?
Chris is good at Excel?
Computers?
This is what I've been trying to find out. I used to use Excel all the time
Right,
25 years ago.
that's a pretty long time ago.
Yeah, so I know you can do amazing things with it, but
The reason I say, all you need to be able to do is open a file and look at it. And maybe copy and paste a few things into a document. That's all I really need. So maybe we should help. Maybe you should be on the data team too. The reason is we need, here's Bill. How good are you at Jim? You were saying Jim. Chris, yeah. Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Do you like Excel? You ever use the program Excel?
Oh, many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to address that issue, and you're gonna see why, because I'm gonna be giving you some data. And today, we need to decide who's gonna do what, and we'll talk about that. So anyway, a data person, we don't have to have some, massive computer programmer. Just have somebody who can open Excel, pull some stuff out, and maybe print some stuff. That's your data person. Promoter. So we had an event last night. Somebody chose the venue. Somebody chose the speaker. Somebody promoted the event. That's a full-time job. Now, I'm gonna just jump ahead for a minute to step 5. Let me read step 5. Success in this effort begins with unassailable evidence of local fraud obtained by your team. That evidence allows you to build a credible local movement. You won't win this battle with mere evidence. You need your citizens to engage the movement. You're not going to relinquish control of your effort to any court or any official. This is your investigation. You are fulfilling your government role, as our Constitution intended. 20 years ago, we ran our own elections. We locally, maybe 25 now,
Yeah.
25 years ago, we ran our own elections. And what's happened is we've just slowly and incrementally given away all of those tasks to somebody else. And I don't joke about it, I talk about it. We've given away our government roles, we've given away our who's running our elections, we've given away our teaching roles. We let other people teach our kids. It should be us teaching our own kids, right?
Frog in the kettle.
Frog in the kettle. So we've kind of steadily given away many of our civic duties. We're the kings. What do they call it? The no kings movement? Trump is not the king. We don't want a king. We're the kings. We're the sovereigns. The Constitution said, we're not giving them power. We're going to limit them. We want the people to have the power. But the problem is we've got lazy.
Yeah.
And we've just been kind of like gradually giving away all of our power. And that's our mess. So I'm encouraging you in this movement to take back some of your power. Let's run our own elections. And then that way we can make sure that they're real. Right now, there's some problems. And so anyway, that's the promoter's job, is to promote that public awareness, and that's a big job. So since you're trying to build a movement, we had an event last night. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great evening. No complaints whatsoever. Do we have a event planned next month yet?
we're going to be teaching hand counting on March 4th.
And so who decided that? Your team did? On March 4th, and who's gonna be the speaker?
Me,
You're gonna be the speaker? That's a problem. I wanna talk about that. Okay, but you're promoting it, right? How are you promoting that? It's a big job, huh?
yeah, flyers.
You need, a promotion is a big job. What about the following month? Have you got an event yet?
It'll be more hand counting, but 3 weeks later, you like them staggered 3 weeks, not every month.
Oh, fair. Mary pays attention. I think you need to be planning your events in advance. And like last night, we should have announced that you're gonna have a hand counting on March 4th, for example, right? It takes time. It's a lot of work to promote events.
Question.
Yeah.
The hand counting.
Yeah.
What is that? What is she presenting?
She's gonna present a hand count method to show
Where
you.
would we be using this?
You might
November?
be using it in November.
Because Trump is making it law, because they won't let us just go in there.
And you and I know that your state's gonna tell them to pound sand. Trump
Yeah,
says,
so-
we're gonna have counting. So, but what if he nullifies the election? And what if it's gonna go to purple thumbs and hand counting at that point, Because he can declare a state of emergency, we can have martial law, it can be
We won't even be safe to go there at that point, probably.
Don't even think about it.
but think about it, what if you already
Yeah.
but if your population is already trained on how to do this, then,
Yeah, okay.
in other words, it's.
No harm
The tornado
there.
hits and you guys say, no problem here, we've already run our hand counted and you see what I'm saying? There's
I already went to one of her things and I'm certified to hand count now, so.
Yeah, very good. So, the reason I say that is, this is a strategy session, and I'm trying to change how the team thinks. So, and I joke about this, but it's absolutely true. So Jesus Christ went home to his hometown, Nazareth. And how did that work out?
Pretty sad.
It was a disaster. In fact, they wanted to stone him. Okay. Exactly. So, Mary just said that she's gonna be the speaker at this event. You know what? She's the local schmuck. Okay? Good
All right,
luck.
Mary, you're a
I
schmuck.
just remembered that if Ron gets that form that you're gonna help him with,
Yeah.
Ron is taking over the hand.
Okay, so he's still a local schmuck. So my point is, I love you too, by the way, so I'm not being mean to you. I'm just telling you, you're the local schmucks. You need the outside catalyst. So for example, Mark Cook was just up here teaching hand counting, right, just recently. And he's the outside national expert. Notice what happened when I came to town, right? I'm a catalyst. If it's just you locally, I'm telling you, you're gonna have trouble building a movement because you're the local. It's nothing against you. You can come to my town, you can be the outside expert. But it's just a human nature thing. I would recommend that you bring in outside voice and say, just creates this catalyst for growing a movement. I think that's where I'm going. So the job of the promoter is to plan those events in advance, and there's a lot of work in that, how you promote it. Recruiter, that's next. So my favorite way of recruiting is to hold my event, for example, in a church. If you think about it, churches have been building movements for a couple thousand years. They're pretty good at it. And so when you connect to a church, suddenly that pastor says, hey, I heard this Dr. Frank guy. Hey, I heard this Mark Cook guy. Hey, I heard this hand counting demonstration. This stuff is reasonable.
And they have the facilities.
And they have the facilities and they have the contacts, the pastor. So it's like, that's a great way to recruit people into your movement. Another great way is you have a Rotary Club or a Lions Club or another potential political group that you would speak to. The idea is you're trying to recruit people into the idea that you want local control of your elections. So who can do that? You need some, and my experience has been the recruiter ends up being somebody who knows everybody. So if somebody knows everybody, and oh yeah, I know him over there. Yeah, we'll call him. And they're good at kind of bringing people together. So you need a recruiter on your team. You need a researcher. So here's an
Dr.
example.
Frank, could
Yes.
you give examples of where the recruiter will go?
He already did.
You just did.
He just did.
Did he say?
Some really good ideas.
Local, did you say like local, chambers of commerce
Yeah,
and all that?
Like Rotary Clubs, Lions Clubs.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly. And for example, I'm a former Rotarian. I was a regional director. So if the Rotary Club finds out I'm in town, they're like, "Oh, bring him in. We'll come. I'd love to hear him, talk." And so what happens is I get to talk to your local business people, and that's, it doesn't have to be me, I just use me as an example. You're looking for opportunities to promote what we're doing. If you're not doing that, you're not building a movement. You don't win with evidence.
We're not reading everybody's stuff.
I've not seen a movement successful with it that isn't recruiting other groups, and church groups are a great place to start it. Researcher, here's a question. Do you have a residency requirement to vote here? Do you have to be a resident to vote in Oregon?
Yeah.
What is the requirement?
Used to be 30 days, I don't know what it is now.
So we don't know our own rules. Somebody needs to research our own rules. Last place I was, they said it's 6 months you have to be a resident. Okay, so what is it? I don't know. Okay, there are legal requirements to vote here.
It's very lax.
Okay, fair enough.
You have to be dead and illegal immigrant.
So for example, and I believe it's in Portland, they want local people to vote, even if they're not citizens, they want them to vote. So they're allowed to vote, actually, if you're not a citizen, but you're only allowed to vote in municipal elections.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and so it's not illegal for a non-citizen to vote in that election, but it is illegal for that non-citizen to vote in, say, the presidential election or something like that. So you need to know what the local laws are as well as the state laws. Following me? Somebody has to research that. Following me? So there's usually somebody who loves reading that stuff. It ain't me.
I do.
You do? Sounds like we got our researcher. And
Look at Mary. We got her up.
she's doing the leadership job, isn't she?
There it is.
Yeah.
I got one.
Exactly. And that's a really important job because it's like you're playing a game of chess, you better know the rules. Okay, so if you don't know the rules, how do you know what you're doing? So there you go. Good, I think maybe we just did get a researcher.
We did have a researcher, but apparently he doesn't want to research, so.
Well, that doesn't work there.
Oh, by the way, I'm a lazy bastard, like by heart, by training. And so I use AI when I want to comb through data that's boring as shit. So what I do is I'll take like the actual full file, plug it into like a large language model, like maybe ChatGPT or something like that. And if I need to find something specific, or I'll usually just use Control F if I don't feel like using the large, but if there's like a lot of complicated data,
Yeah.
I'm just too stupid to figure it out because I am half the time too stupid to figure
So
it out.
you can be on research too, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you guys ever need
No
like,
reason.
if you guys ever need me to like consult and help, like I do, believe it or not, I do know my way around spreadsheets. So but I'm too cheap to
You
purchase
just
Excel.
outed yourself.
I only use open source software because I'm a cheap bastard. But
Yeah.
but if you guys do need a little bit of a hand in research, always feel free to call me. I'll always try to give my 2 cents.
Leader, you got
So I can't say I'll be full time, but I will be if you guys ever need
You know
a
what the job of the leader is?
if you guys need a little bit of an assist. I got you guys covered. So.
And I think I was just thinking the same thing, a lot of times you got a position.
Yeah,
it's nice
LibreOffice.
to
I
have
love
some
LibreOffice.
assistance
It's one
with
of my
that
favorites.
position.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with
Well,
that.
What you want to avoid is too many people.
Yeah.
Because you need to stay focused, and when you get too many people, it's just like herding cats and
But
stuff.
2 people is nicer than 1 sometimes.
We agree. I'm not opposed to that. And that's why I was careful. I said you need at least.
Can I get a list of things to research or?
You
want me to-
bet.
Okay.
You bet, and I've already got it all written out. So, and we'll go over it. Right now, I don't know how I want to get into details, but I'm putting the guideposts in place right now for our strategy, if that makes sense, and then we can flesh them out.
Oh, okay.
And we don't have to decide everything today either. We just need to kind of get the team functioning, and then we can start putting the flesh on those bones as we go. We can do Zoom calls together. I do all kinds of Zoom calls to keep you going. And the research might say, well, Dr. Frank already did that. What should I research next? And by the way, that's another reason you get connected, because you're the only researcher. In fact, in this state, we've already got a whole bunch of people that have done exactly what you're about to do. So why duplicate effort? Let's connect you. Yes, Teresa?
Yeah.
Let's connect you to them, and then then all you're left doing, because they've already been doing the state research, you can maybe research Coos County, because every county's different. I've noticed in your state, you have, I think, 13 charter home rule counties. Home rule counties. They have different rules than the state. So that's interesting. In fact, in Huntington Beach, Southern California, they're a charter city, it's called. 400,000 people there. And the leaders of the city council there discovered, hey, wait a minute, because there was a big tumult about the elections. They said, it says right in our charter that we have the right to run our own elections. So we are. And the state said, no, you're not, you have to run it our way. And they said, too bad, here's our charter, you signed off on it. And the state took them to court and said, we're not gonna do this mail-in stuff, we're having one-day voting in person, photo ID, signature, and that's, it's because they read their own charter. Imagine that. So this is when you read your own, so that's the job of the researcher. That makes sense. For example, the researcher might also look into the lawsuits that are going on, right? We've got one in Douglas County, we had a big one in Washington County, there's another big one with the Judicial Watch suing your state, there's another big one with the Department of Justice suing you.
I'm pretty familiar with.
I noticed that last night. So, see, he's already naturally that way. So you're the perfect person for that job. So let's start collecting that in one place so that it's not just all in your head. Then strategist. So I was reading an essay by Patton the other day, and I think once I'm done with these 7, we'll jump into some data. What I learned about,
You're willing to do?
Patton said that he's always known as this brilliant strategist. He says, but nobody ever used any of his strategies. He said, the purpose of doing strategy is you need to be always doing strategy, because every battle plan immediately changes the minute it's implemented.
Yeah.
No battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. The enemy just doesn't go, oh, good one, you win. They have a response, and you have to, it's like when you're playing chess, you make a move, and what do? You think about 3 moves ahead, and then the other guy makes a move, oh, now I have to rethink all that. If you're not doing that in real time, you're gonna lose. This is, you need to.
I think Mike Tyson said something like that. He said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the nose.
That's a group, everybody's got
When you're
a.
done with the live stream,
Exactly.
this is how they
And
get
there you
hold of
go.
us.
So you need a strategist. Now, for example,
Sorry.
No, you're good, you're good. It's okay. There you go. Just, yeah.
things are changing day to day.
I like
So
to
you-
consult
we
and help
might
people. I'm not
change
much
our
of a leader,
strategy
but I like to help
day to
people
day.
out. So if you guys have any technical questions, always feel free to pick my brain. So.
Thank you. So for example, when I was down in Curry, I met with their county supervisors, and they said things like, we are a targeted county. What does that mean? They're being targeted by the Democratic Party. He raised the name of a group named Indivisible. I don't know very much about that, but he said we are being targeted in our county. We have these big demonstrations every weekend. That affects their strategy there, right? And if it's a dynamic situation, so who knows what you might do there differently than here. So you need the local strategy as well as statewide strategy, because every situation is a
Are
little
you
different.
saying that they recognize that they're being targeted for the public to be influenced in that county?
I don't know. He just said that, right? He said we have, 200 people showing up on Saturday, every
Yeah,
Saturday.
we've had it here too.
They're here too.
Okay, but are you targeted?
In a way.
In a way?
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, but I just used it as an example. So your strategy might be different than theirs, it might be the same as theirs. The point is, there's a local strategy as well as a statewide strategy. The statewide strategy, remember, is we're trying to get a bunch of counties ready to stand together. That's turned out to be really important. In the old days, like in Shasta, or Huntington Beach, or San Joaquin, I'm fighting one county at a time, and that is hard, and that is slow. And every time Shasta County would do something, the state would make a law to stop it. And so other counties couldn't join, and it was like tit for tat, fight, fight, fight. And that's not a very smart way to fight a war. Let's have a better strategy. Let's have multiple counties stand together. So, but you have to have local strategy too. Go ahead, Jim.
Going back to what you were saying as far as local strategy.
Yeah.
Most of the local strategy on the weekends down at the boardwalk are people being busted, so they're not. even local.
Well, that affects their strategy, doesn't it?
I mean, when you have the same people going from, making 70,000 a year to go around and go to every little spot, and that's taxpayer money.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's, it's kind of hard for us to come up against that when you have people funding.
Yes.
These
Yeah.
They're very
supposed
well
locals.
organized. Again,
When,
not.
supposed
They're well
locals are-
organized, but they
Very
don't know
well
how to
organized.
debate.
Okay.
And they don't know what they're talking about most of the
Well,
time.
so
Right.
now that's why we have to have a strategy to address that. Okay, and you'll have a local strategy.
Yep.
And I
And
I
most
tend to
them are
think
very
of
unreasonable.
strategists as
Yes.
opportunists.
Well funded and misinformed.
Yeah.
They are.
In a book, Art of War by Sun Tzu, I really enjoyed that book.
I love it.
He talks about every war is won by at a single battle, from a single piece of intel and a single piece of strategy. And you know, there's sort of the conventional warfare that goes on, but then there's one piece of intel, one strategy, boom, you win. And so in other words, strategy is opportunist.
I have Sun Tzu with commentary, if you're interested. In a PDF, I can get it to you.
I have my book right there. I have notes on almost every page. When I started changing the way I think from trying to be, you know, a warrior for election integrity to thinking more in a let's work together, let's have a strategy. I started reading a lot of these books, and boy, we have really, I'm not taking credit, I'm just saying, we don't have to reinvent this wheel. But we need a local strategist. We need somebody who isn't so busy doing different jobs that they're standing away, looking for opportunities. Oh, that's a good piece of data we got there. We could use that here. Or, oh, that person is sick and they're going to resign. We're going to need to replace that person. You need somebody away from the fray to be looking and strategizing, if that makes sense. So we need somebody like that. That's really important on your team. And then the last is archivist. And the archivist is important because I've learned, for example, tell me your name again?
Peter.
Peter has done a lot of research, obviously. So where's the research?
Well, a lot of it is in my head.
That's what I thought, exactly.
But I have a lot of it written down and
Good.
folders and things like that.
Beautiful. So what I would like to do is take your beautiful research and organize it and put it in a binder so everybody can have access to it.
Okay.
And that's the job of the archivist. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And then what happens is we're going to be building a binder, and I think it's time for me to go into that next. Hold this. How am I doing on time?
Be out of here at 12:15.
Okay.
For sure.
And what time is it now?
10:50.
Oh, I'm doing great. Okay, so let me just talk about the binders for a second. Okay, whoever the archivist is, and I like the archivist to be OCD. Somebody who's like obsessive compulsive about organizing. You need somebody on your team who's constantly, oh, that's important, let's get that in the binder. And
Rule me out.
my wife is OCD. And one of the ways I play a little love game with my wife. We've been married 43 years, so we know each other pretty well. So her desk is perfect. And in the morning when I leave, I move her stapler 3 inches over.
Ooh, crying.
And so when she comes home, she moves her stapler back. And she knows that was me giving her a little peck on the cheek. And she knows I was there. It's a fun thing. But she loves organizing, and everything has a place, and she's be a perfect archivist for the team because oh, that's a great idea. Let's put that in the binder. That goes under tab 17, category B. You know, she'll organize everything. And if you think about it, if you watch those old war movies, there's always some private running through the room full of typewriters. Remember those?
His name's Radar, right?
Yeah, like Radar O'Reilly. Yes, he's the archivist. But in the old black and white, there was like a room with 50 typewriters and 50 ladies sitting there typing. And why? They were gathering the intel. They were organizing it into a way that the leaders could use for making decisions. You need somebody like that on your team because we're going to be compiling these binders. Let's talk about the binders. I'm starting to get into the weeds a little now, which is good. So for today, I'm going to mostly emphasize the evidence binder because that's your start. But there are really two other binders, the research binder and the supplementary materials. This is just your extra stuff, whatever's left over that you need to document. So let's talk about it. So the evidence binder, this is what we're going to go public with. The evidence binder is our public document. And it's a thin document, no thicker than an inch binder. This is simple, keep it simple, stupid. In the early days, I made a mistake. In 21, 22, we were gathering hundreds and hundreds of fraud cases, thousands of examples of dirty voter rolls, because we thought what we had to do is tell everybody, by the way, we have a PDF of this, we'll give it to you. So you don't have to panic about notes on everything. oh my goodness, I wanted to overwhelm the people so that they knew this was a real problem. But actually, that was a mistake, because when you overwhelm them, they don't even look at it. So I've learned that the best way to do this at first is to have 10 choice cases of fraud. 10 beautiful
Are
examples.
these ones we need to find or ones that are already established?
You're gonna find them in Coos.
As well as all these other things we're gonna do.
You're gonna
How do
do.
we
Before
find them?
November.
And how do you find them? I'm gonna show you that next. Yes.
Okay.
So you're gonna find 10 beautiful cases of fraud. Fully documented, all laid out, this person died 10 years ago, but they voted in the last 2 elections, okay? That's a problem, okay? You're gonna find 10 cases of fraud, and documented, and then you're gonna have 10 cases of illegal voting. Illegal voting is someone's not legally qualified to vote. They don't live here, they're not a citizen, they are a felon, whatever it is. There are legal requirements to vote. What I think you're gonna find is that, and I understand this sentiment, but it's still illegal. A lot of times the clerks are saying, look, John Smith moved into town last week. I don't want to stop him from voting. Here, have a ballot. Well, but that's illegal. Your residency requirement doesn't allow that. I understand why the clerk is saying, yeah, let's let everybody vote, but it's illegal. So you're not supposed to. So in other words, there are legal requirements. Then voter rolls examples, 10 examples of bad voter rolls. I think I mentioned one last night where in Polk County, they found 6 students that were registered at their dorm. And they're still in the rolls as active, and that was in 2006, okay? And so in other words, every election ballots are being moved. And then I remember the gal who was referencing Shasta, she says, yeah, but did they vote? No, they didn't vote. If they had voted, it probably wasn't them. It would probably be fraud. That's an example of your voter rolls being dirty. And it's irresponsible, environmentally, fiscally, election integrity wise, to be sending ballots to willy-nilly all over the
Cost
place.
is it, and the mailing costs and everything.
$50 a
Voter
piece.
fraud by mail.
In Oregon, it costs you per ballot. So you're wasting, when you think about it, every election in that one example, you're wasting $300. Every 6 times 5, is $50. That's just ridiculous.
Where'd you come up with that $50? How's that?
So there are many expenses associated with elections. So you gotta print the ballot, you gotta address it, you stuff it in an envelope, you gotta put a stamp on it, you gotta mail it, it gets mailed back.
You got workers'
You got
compensation.
we got workers that are processing the ballots. You've got the you've got the tabulators that then tabulate it, and the reporting systems and the service contracts, and most of the local counties don't program their own machines. They bring in the vendors to do all that work, and you can take all that and split it over the cost of your elections. It works to be about $50 a ballot that you're spending. So anything you can do to reduce that. Now in Colorado, we've run the numbers really aggressively there.
Dr. Frank?
Yeah,
Ron actually has that information.
Well, it's for Coos County.
yeah.
Yeah.
What did you find for Coos?
Well, I don't have it to memory, but it is,
We used to have it
No,
in memory,
yeah.
otherwise I would.
He's done some research, and I see a
I
binder.
need a copy of that.
I'm being very happy right now. What did you get?
well, it's, sorry.
It's all right. Do you have a
The-
ballpark?
It's close to that. The county, the Coos County Election Office put out a report, Election Day report. Now, this is the total cost for the election of November 2024. The county spent $120,000 on that election. Everything related to it. Now
That sounds way low.
It does.
well,
It's not
I
all
don't
in.
know, I think that,
That number can't be right. The reason I say that is because
$1 person.
you
Right, can you mail
Well,
it?
can't even mail it for that.
Can't paper that.
There's something wrong with that number.
so
Sounds like a research project somebody needs to do.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
And then there are some things, like, for example, mailing costs, that if you were to clean your voter rolls, it's a direct savings because you're not printing and mailing. It's a immediate cost savings. When I was in, I don't want to use names, but I was just recently in another county, and that is a big amount of money, and we calculated they would save $150,000 on their next election.
Just the savings.
Just the savings, because you're not printing and mailing ballots. I'm not even talking about all the equipment. And that's a lot of money to you guys in these counties. And not to mention the fact that it's irresponsible for you to be filling landfills with.
Think of all the trees.
Yeah, it was funny because last year when I was here talking to somebody, they said, we like cutting down trees, Dr. Frank, we're a timber state. So, but I don't really think that's the right attitude. I think we should be environmentally responsible. We shouldn't be filling landfills with ballots that aren't getting used. No, that's ridiculous. But anyway, so 10 fraudulent voted, 10 illegal, and then 10 examples of egregious voter rolls. Yeah.
So who, is it the research, who is doing, finding the information on these 4 points? All of us?
Yes,
Or the
the
research?
team is going to be doing it.
Everybody as a whole?
Yes,
working on
is
that.
working on this.
Dr. Frank, I would find a person. I'm
You
sorry.
need a binder person. Oh, I just said you have to have one. You have to have an archivist, somebody who is responsible for maintaining the
We
binder.
already have an archivist and she's just keeping the paper copies. I would like
Okay.
a binder person.
Okay, well, then you're the leader, so somebody, you say, we need a
Let's
binder.
talk to that recruiter.
Yeah, right. I'm good with that. But you understand how important the role is. You need that. Yes, sir, Secretary.
I apologize if you already covered this.
That's okay.
What is the difference between fraudulent and illegal?
No, that's a great question. So a fraudulent ballot would be, Greg didn't vote because he was sick this year. And I noticed that he didn't vote. And so I print a ballot and I submit it using your name. I stole your identity to cast a ballot. Or Greg passed away 10 years ago, his name's still in the rolls, and I cast a ballot using his name. In other words, it's like identity theft. Somebody else casts a ballot using your name. That's one kind of fraud. In fact, since you asked,
Committed fraud while voting.
yeah, I can jump right in there. Let me, Greg's right on target. That's where I was going. So this is essentially identity theft. Someone is identities used to cast a ballot. For example, a dead voter. The dead person did not cast that ballot. Somebody else cast the ballot using that name. That's one kind of, or a ghost voter. Ballot is cast by someone other.
Or 16-year-olds said they were 18, because in Oregon.
That would be illegal.
It'd be fraud.
Wouldn't be fraud, it'd be illegal. They are not legally qualified, but they did it. Now, if I cast the ballot for that kid who is 16, that would be fraud. But if he casts it, that's illegal. It's like a non-citizen. They voted, so it's not fraud, but it's illegal. They're not entitled to vote. Getting the difference?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Ghost voters, my most common ghost voter, it's a good question. I was going there anyway, so I don't mind launching off your question. You're right in sync with my mind. So you're gonna find this in your rolls. 2 Smiths, 2 Jones at the same residence. They all voted in an election. You look it up and you find out that the Jones sold the house to the Smiths 5 years ago. The Jones now live in Texas and they're voting in Texas because they live there. So then the question is how did those 2 ballots get cast? They shouldn't have been, the Jones aren't here. Somebody cast those ballots. Now it could be that the ballots were mailed to the house and the Smiths used them and submitted them. Okay, that's one possibility. Another possibility is someone noticed that the Smiths or the Jones moved away 5 years ago. They have the post office list and they go, aha, I know the Jones aren't going to vote because they moved away. So you know what? We're going to submit ballots using their names. That could be another way. So there's a number of ways to cheat that situation. And that's one of the most common ways I find fraud right there. And we have the voter rolls for the whole country. So we also have the NCOA, the post office list for the whole country of people who moved away. And so what we find is you're going to find the Smiths and the Jones. The Jones sold the house to the Smiths and they don't live here anymore. But somehow their ballots are still coming in. That's a ghost voter. Somebody is casting a ballot, but that's fraudulent. And they aren't there, it's not them doing it. Yeah.
These NCO lists that you're talking about from the post office, are these readily available to, say, our archivists or our researchers?
We are gonna provide that to you. Mr. Lindell has paid for a subscription, a national subscription to it. We can run it for your county. We'll give you your county and help. It's a great
That's NCOA,
national change of address.
change of
National Change of Address Registry. We're gonna give you that tool to help you with this. Isn't this cool? This is why you get connected, because now you're connected to all of this support equipment and tools. And one of the things also is our Cause of America, since we have the voter rolls for the whole country, we can compare state to state. And we can, sort of like Eric is supposed to be doing. And we find hundreds of thousands of people who are voting in more than one state.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And so,
Intention.
well, somebody's doing it. Now, let me clarify something.
Them are doing it, yeah.
Let me give a kind of a silly example. Let's say grandpa dies and 2 ballots show up and grandma's sitting there looking at her ballot and grandpa's ballot. And let's say oh, I know how grandpa was gonna vote. I'll vote for him, okay. Now that's fraud. I'm not interested in prosecuting grandma. I'm not. Now, when we run into those all the time, by the way. When we talk to grandma about it, we're gonna say, now, slap her on the wrist. No, you're not supposed to do that. But we're not interested in prosecuting her. We're not interested in prosecuting anyone. We're not going the legal route. That is a whole nother bailiwick. Now, we have multiple places gone the legal route. Many times when we bring the cases to the sheriffs, they say, I don't want to prosecute this. And we say, fine, we're not going to prosecute it. Just give us case numbers. You can look into it a little bit, confirm that we're not silly. But at other times we give the cases to the sheriff and they're like, I'm taking it to court. Okay, it depends where you're at and it depends on the nature of the sheriff. But I'm not interested in that. In your state, we already have some sheriffs doing prosecutions right now on bona fide, provable cases of fraud. And we're not supposed to talk about it because of NDAs and because of legal matters. But we already have that happening here. But frankly, I'm not interested in that. My goal isn't to put criminals in jail. My goal is to implicate the state system. The state system is enabling this to happen, and that's why we want to bring it back local where we can control it and we can shortcut. Now, are we going to ever fix all fraud? No. There's always going to be fraud. As long as there are elections, there's going to be fraud. But right now, it's all centrally controlled, so therefore it's centrally hackable.
And it's out of sight.
And it's out of sight, no, it's not auditable. Nobody can, your own clerk can't even audit their own election, okay? It's not a good situation. We need it to be auditable by every citizen. Every citizen should have the right to audit their own election. They should have the ability, and your own clerk can't even, so it's a bad situation. We just have to trust them. No, that's not okay.
Not okay.
And they might be honest. And by the way,
You might
I don't
not.
know your clerk. I don't need to know your clerk, but I'd rather have her in charge of your election than the state. Because she's elected by you. She probably goes, she probably has, yeah, that's true. She probably has kids go to school with your kids, you go to church together, you go to meetings together. It's your local person, and she needs to be empowered to do her job well. All right, so the binder. So that's another kind of fraud, a low propensity voter right column. I'll show you what that is in a minute when I show you the voter rolls. But basically, I've noticed the rolls are full of these people who never vote, except one time.
Right. Surprise!
And when you look them up, and you ask them, you say, hey, did you vote in the last election? And they're like, no. Well, it says you did. And what that means is somebody harvested their ballot. Somebody went to their mailbox and took it out, or somebody noticed they didn't vote and printed a ballot for them. And we find a lot of those. It's still a ghost voter, but we call it low propensity because that's how we found it. And then non-resident voter, that's like the Smiths and the Jones that I brought out. Somebody is in another state and they're voting in another state and they're voting here. That's obviously fraud. And you don't even know who did it, but somebody did. It's fraud. You can't vote in more than one place. And then the last one is the super voter. And I was just sitting with someone the other day where because the state has this system where they're automatically registering people to vote, sometimes people are in more than once. And they have a different voter ID too. And the example I saw the other day, that was Josephine County.
I think it was, yeah.
Josephine County, they had already, just with the cursory examination, they had found 9 people who had more than one voter ID.
Right.
And both voter IDs voted on different ballots, because we had the ballot numbers, and different days. So that's what I call a super voter. Now, I don't necessarily think that one person cheated. It could be.
Yeah.
But I usually find most people don't cheat. It's organized groups that are gathering, harvesting ballots and cheating. So once again, I stress, we're not trying to find criminals. That's a whole other thing. We're trying to show that the system enables this kind of fraud. And every one of these cases of fraud disenfranchises one of you from your real ballot. And therefore, you're entitled to not use this system. That's the point. It's violating your rights. So that's examples of fraud. Let me give you some examples of illegal voting. Let's see here. Oh, egregious voter rolls. I skipped over it on accident. Let's do the illegal voting. When someone passes a ballot is not legally qualified to do so, like a non-citizen. By the way, when I was up in Maine is even more conservative than you guys. They are really conservative. The whole state of Maine is just like red. And then there's a little blue dot down in the bottom right corner. And guess what the name of that town is? Portland. But they're super conservative. And when I go up into those small MAGA counties up in the north, they actually have Canadians who live there. Who are voting. And that's illegal. It's not fraud, because it's them doing it. And they've been put in the rolls because they got a driver's license there and whatnot, but it is not legal. They're non-citizen. So, when you always talk about non-citizen voting, everybody always thinks about south of the border people, but it's also north of the border. So and you might have some of that here because you're pretty far up here. Non-resident, and that's if somebody votes and they're not legally qualified to, and I mentioned that. So, or someone who's a felon. I believe in your state, while you're in prison serving a sentence for being a felon, you may not vote.
Correct.
But once you're out, you can be reinstated.
Re-register, vote, and then you can vote.
Yes, exactly. Different states have different rules, which is why, he knows the law. You need to know your own law. In some states, you're never allowed to vote again. And so it's different. All right. And then, or somebody's underage, and you mentioned that, or the little guy mentioned, the younger guy mentioned that. You're not allowed to vote if you're underage. Disqualified also happens. So people that are in a coma and medically declared incompetent, they don't lose their rights. Somebody else is custodian of their rights, but they can't vote. They're disqualified voters. There are various reasons you can disqualify people. Yeah.
My cousin lives in Coquille. Her son and his girlfriend, they go to middle school, well, they did at the time. They both received ballots
Kids,
in middle school.
Tell them to vote.
so if they vote, that's illegal.
Right, well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it happens. People don't believe it.
I know it happens.
And I know firsthand because she
Yes.
showed me.
Yeah.
She said, look what Johnny got. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it does happen.
it does happen, and you can find them. And when you find them, it's like, what? Okay, and so that's, notice that I'm not gonna prosecute Johnny.
Right, yeah.
I'm pointing out your system is enabling this, and that's a bad system.
Just
I
a
don't-
bunch of open doors.
Exactly, I wanna start closing those doors. Okay, so I think that's kind of enough to get you guys understanding the binder of what we're gonna collect in the binder. 10 cases, I guess I didn't talk about illegal.
Dr. Frick, I do have a
A
question.
meeting
Yeah.
on election integrity.
Schizophrenics vote?
Yes, they can, as long as they haven't been ruled by a court to be incompetent.
At least one of
Yeah.
their
I have
personalities
a Down
can.
syndrome daughter, and she's smart, and she loves to vote, and she knows exactly what she's doing. And I have the sample ballot the night before, and I'm going through marking it, so I'm ready to go, because we voted in person in Ohio. And she looks over my shoulder and she says, "Oh, I love Johnny, I love him." She knows these, she loves them. And that's a good reason to vote. And so I take her in and she votes for the people she loves. That's a good enough reason for me.
It's probably better than more educated than a lot of people.
She doesn't vote on the issues and things like that because she doesn't understand the issues, but she loves Johnny and she loves Mary, she loves.
If your pet is voting, is that illegal or fraudulent?
That's illegal, and that's, actually, it's probably
There's a whole bunch
fraudulent.
of them.
And there's been a few cases of it.
Yeah, oh, yeah. In fact, I know of several.
I thought they should have the right to vote personally.
Yeah. Well, in Marin County, California, there's a lady who was fed up with the system and frustrated, and so she registered her cat to vote and ordered an absentee ballot. The absentee ballot showed up. She didn't vote it, but she took it into the registrar and said, "This is a stupid system you're using because I could have voted for my cat and you would have counted the ballot." And you know what they did? They prosecuted her for election fraud.
Oh.
They prosecuted the messenger. She's trying to show your system is stupid. She didn't do anything bad. But anyway,
No, she made him look bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's vindictive.
So I guess
Vindictive prosecution.
I should just mention the egregious voter rolls. If you've got a, let's talk about that just for a second. The law says, you see, and this is a great question Greg asked last night. The state decides the manner of voting, but the state has been taking money in agreement of doing certain things. There's strings attached to the money you've been getting. And one of the strings is you must keep a central database for your state, and you must maintain it according to certain rules. And Judicial Watch sued you because you weren't keeping the rules, and it was proven in court that you weren't.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and one of the rules is, if you miss 2 federal elections, you're supposed to be contacted by your clerk. So you miss 2 elections, she's supposed to contact you and say, "Hey, are you still here?" And if you're not here, she's supposed to take you off. If you are here, but just not voting, but didn't answer, she's supposed to make you inactive. So there are these rules about how they're supposed to treat. So when you're looking at the voter rolls, you're gonna find a whole bunch of people that haven't voted for decades, but they're still active voters in the rolls. Now, that could be that the clerk has contacted them and said, "Yeah, Johnny still lives here, he's just not voting, so he's still eligible and an active voter, we're gonna keep sending him out." That's perfectly legal. But you're also gonna find that some of them don't live here and haven't lived here for a long time. And oops, the clerk was supposed to take them out and they're not. So that's an example. Like I mentioned, the college campus kids, 6 kids in the dorm, obviously they haven't been here for 20. And you're still sending about, that's an egregious voter roll example. Or somebody's been dead for a decade and they're still in the voter rolls as an active voter.
That's in Social Security.
Yeah, exactly. So you get the point. They're egregious examples of somebody moved away a decade ago, but somehow they're still an active voter in the rolls. You're going to find a lot of those. So category 1, fraud. Category 2, illegal. Category 3, egregious voter rolls. And category 4, how is your state not following its own laws? How are your local officials not following your own laws? In other words, if you can show that your county and state aren't following the law, no wonder we have crappy voter rolls. No wonder we have illegal and fraudulent and illegal voting. If they were just following the laws, we would necessarily have the
You
same.
close a lot of those doors.
Exactly. And so,
Dr. Frank,
Yeah.
I'll do some
Chris
research
says
on
you
that.
can stay as long as you want.
oh, okay. Well, hopefully I'm doing okay. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, so those are the 4 categories. That's a thin binder. Now, what we're going to do before I get into how you're going to fill it up, what you're going to do with that binder is once it's finished, we're going to time it with other counties around the state. And you're going to go to one of the county commission meetings, and there'll be 10 of you in a line. You open the binder. We've already gone to the sheriff before this point. Let's just bring it out. We'll be fine.
Gone to the sheriff and done what?
Got a case number.
Got a case number for each one already at that point.
Before we go to the sheriff, we've had Dr. Frank.
Yes, it
review.
does, Annie.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's step 6.
They have to be perfect.
They've got to be perfect because these are going public. So there are 10 tabs in each section. It's all archived out, all beautiful and organized and OCD. So you open the binder and you say, my name is Doug Frank. I live at 123 Apple Tree Lane. I heard about this election integrity movement. We did some research and we found this person who's been dead for 10 years, but yet they voted in the last 3 elections. And here's the copy of the death certificate, and here's the case number assigned by the sheriff, and boom, boom, boom. You read that into the public record.
Here's a photo of the tombstone.
Exactly, whatever. And all of that is collected beautifully under the first tab. That person sits down, the next person stands up for their 3 minutes and flips to the second tab. And they read, here's another case of fraud. We're gonna read it into the public record. 10 cases into the public record. Anybody can check them out. People who say, there's no fraud here. Oh yeah, well, check, feel free. They're public record, they have public case numbers. You can check it yourself, you can find it, yeah, this is right. And one of the things at this point that happens every time is one of the commissioners will say something like, well, come on, that's only 10 cases of fraud, that doesn't change anything. And then you say, well, we have a lot more than this. We've just chosen 10
Juicy ones.
10 juicy ones that anybody can check. And by the way, every one of these is a real case of fraud, and every one of these nullified one of our citizens' real ballot.
That's right.
And every one of these ballots was paid for with blood. And by the way, if 10 ballots don't matter to you, then you and 9 other of your county officials have to give up your ballots.
Voter suppression.
Yes, you and 9 other county officials have to give up your ballots in the next election, because that's what you're asking us to do. Every one of these ballots is real. So we have all these wonderful retorts and stuff we'll put in the binder to help you. The point is, you're not trying to overwhelm them. You're going to give them 10 beautiful cases of fraud. Yes, it's real. Here it is. And by the way, it isn't just here, because you'll notice next week in Curry County, they're reading 10 cases in, and last week in Crook County, they read 10 cases in, and you see where I'm going?
What are they gonna do with it then, at that point, they have it, what are they gonna do with it, the commissioners?
They're not gonna do anything with it.
Okay.
You're doing with it. Step 5, you're not going to relinquish control of your effort to any court or any official. This is your investigation. So what happens is, you're gonna then say, this is unacceptable. We cannot have a system where you're stealing my vote, or somebody is stealing my vote every election. We demand that we not use this system anymore. Now, let me tell you, we've already met with your commissioners before to that day.
Mm-hmm.
We already have a plan in place, and this is the plan. Each of the commissioners, the last person, the 10th person gets up and says, as you've seen, we've given you 10 beautiful cases of fraud. This is a serious thing. What we're recommending to you, commissioners, because you're not experts in elections, you haven't done the investigation. We're recommending that you set up a blue ribbon committee, an election commission, let's call it, who meets here formally in chambers once a week. Any of the public can come in and examine the evidence, and we can discuss it publicly. We can bring in experts, anyone we want, because this 3-minute thing is really not the right approach to this. We're gonna have formal sessions once a week. We'll stream it online. Every citizen can watch it. And then in 1 month, your appointed volunteers will come back and give a formal report 1 month from today and tell you what we found. Now, I can tell you what that report's gonna be. We looked into it, and this is real, because we already did.
The report is on the original 10.
Yes, and we've looked into it, and guess what? They're real. And we've spoken with the sheriff, and the sheriff came and testified to us, right? You see where I'm going? You have the venue then to actually show the evidence. It's like a public court hearing. It's like the public, and everybody can scrutinize it, and anybody can object, right? This is us being the government. This is us doing our job. Now, along the way, other issues are going to come up. So not only does the commission come back, the Blue Ribbon Committee come back and say, yep, these are verified, the sheriff testified, blah, 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 but also, in the process, we discovered all these illegal voting. And you read those into the record. See where we're going?
By the way, I can show anybody here the Polk County when they already.
The Polk County has their binder.
But remember when you went with them and they read it in front of the commission?
30 minutes.
I've got that.
Yes.
Anybody here wants to ever see it?
And
I'd like to see it.
yeah, and when we did that, there's a couple ways. I really recommend that you don't use an adversarial approach with your commissioner. meet with them ahead of time, don't ambush them, prepare them. And when we did that in Polk County, we met with the guy ahead of time. We said, look, we're gonna use 3 minutes each and we're gonna read these cases. He says, we don't have to play that game. He says, we'll just allocate 30 minutes for you guys. Give the presentation however you like. That's cooperating, that's good government, that's the people in the government working together. And so what we did is the night before, we met. And instead of 10 people saying the same stupid things over and over again, we rehearsed, we planned, and we gave a really nice presentation. That was far more.
Are you anticipating our 3 commissioners will allocate 30 minutes for us to do?
No.
No, they won't.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Different county.
I'm just saying that's an example.
Yeah, of what
That's an
should,
example
could
of working
happen.
together. And that's another reason why step 3 is every local situation has nuances that can be exploited. Every situation is different.
Okay.
And so you would make a strategy, which is why you have a local strategist, to decide how are we gonna do this in our county. Every county is different. So you see how this is going? We're functioning healthily with our county leaders. We aren't screaming and yelling at them yet.
You mean no bullhorns?
Yeah, we only need to do that. We only need to go down that road if they're not listening.
Right.
At what point is this time frame are you thinking this would be?
If you guys got busy this week and with the data I'm about to give you, and I'm about to show you how to do it, I bet you in a month from now, you'll have the cases you need already. Maybe not all perfectly organized and researched yet, but you'll have the cases you need and your binder will be starting to fill up. 2 months from now, you'll be ready for a peer review. Though maybe we'll do a peer review before then, or we critic, because we don't want anything to go public that hasn't been really
It has to be
screened.
perfect.
If whoever's up, if I don't know how, if they would ask, but if somebody asked, what do you folks want? What do we say, what do we want? We want,
What's the end goal?
We want local control of our elections.
and what does that mean?
That's the prize.
That means you don't use the state voter rolls.
So we want,
You have your own copy of your own voter rolls that you've cleaned. And right there, you're gonna save a 30-year budget.
legally, can they put, I'm just wondering, who decides who can go in? Is it the local or is it it's the state?
The state right now is maintaining your voter rolls, and they're doing a really bad job.
But they're
It's
the
been
ones
proven in court that it's
that
illegal.
decide, like, all these people can go in and be counting. It's the state, not the county, right?
Well, you asked a lot of questions there,
I know,
and they're convoluted.
All right,
The first thing I would ask you, encourage your local officials to do is to say, it's been proven in court that our voter rolls are illegal. They're out of compliance with state law, they're out of compliance with federal law. Therefore, we don't have to use them. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna download a current copy of the rolls from the state. We're gonna use the Democrat Party and the Republican Party precinct captains, and we're going to go through the rolls and we're gonna clean them out. We're gonna use the National Change of Address Registry and we're gonna clean them out. And just using the NCOA, you're probably gonna take 20% out right off the bat. And then you're gonna knock on a few doors, confirm a few addresses, and get it down to the 70%. Like I said, that's a healthy voter rolls is around 70% of the voting age population. Now you have your own copy. You're not changing the state voter rolls because that's out of your control. That's like cleaning your kids' room. You clean your own copy that you're in control over, and that's what you're gonna use to mail ballots to everybody in your county. Now, if you accidentally remove somebody you shouldn't, which is bound to happen, Mabel calls up and says, where's my ballot? Oh, we're so sorry, here it is, we'll get it to you. We're not trying to stop anybody from voting, we're just trying to be responsible and not mail all these extra ballots that we don't need to, yes.
With resistance, though, from the commissioners, like let's say it's like absolute resistance. I know human beings need incentives in some way. It's human nature. What sort of incentive?
Their
would you offer
incentive
them?
is they just save huge amounts of money.
Well, besides this-
Commissioners love saving money.
True, but what other
Yeah.
incentives can you think to? Because if you put multiple incentives on the table, they could start getting like, ooh.
That's one incentive. You're exactly right. Another incentive is there are going to be 50 people standing in that commissioner room that day when you're reading them in, and they're saying we're not going to tolerate. I mean, look how when Indivisible puts 200 people out there. That's effective. You bring attention. And so we're going to give them public incentive. By the way, you're up for election this year, mister. Are you going to defend our constitutional rights or not? When they see the public is engaged, they listen. So there are several incentives like
It's a
that.
carrot and a stick.
they're gonna
Yes.
have the other side probably there with
100%.
more people saying,
Bring it on.
okay,
bring it on.
They'll be there.
I have no doubt.
What's their position on the other side? We don't want clean rolls?
That's not a tenable position. So they will say, oh, you're trying to suppress voters, you're trying to, keep black voters out, you're being a racist, you're trying to keep, the old person who can't get to the polls from voting, whatever. They will say you were doing voter suppression. Right.
So how do we address that?
Well, we're kind of getting away from my data, but
Sorry.
that's okay. This is why you connect to the national groups, because we've already had all of these arguments in public all over the country. The commissioners are in a situation. We're putting them between a rock and a hard place. We're saying to them, if you continue to comply with the state system, you're going to be disenfranchising citizens from their constitutional rights, and we're going to sue you for civil rights violations. And that's a huge penalty. Because they have legal costs, and they are personally liable. Civil rights violations are personally, and so we're gonna bring charges against you, right? That's a huge pressure. Or you're gonna protect the rights of your citizens. And by the way, the rolls have been already proven to be illegal. So you don't have to use them. So it's like, we're gonna make that argument.
We got them elected though.
Right, and that's okay, and that's a lot of reasons why they don't wanna mess with it, yeah, okay. But we're gonna put them between a rock and a hard place. Decide you're either with us or you're with the state. You're either with the charity or you're protecting your citizens. And that's one of the reasons why I love meeting with the sheriffs, because the sheriffs are the constitutional officer for the county. And the sheriff can say, we're gonna comply, I'm protecting the constitutional rights of our citizens. Your sheriffs in your state, I have their sheriff magazine, a lot of your sheriffs are already on board with this, very much so. And they're linking elbows. So imagine you've got commissioners, another incentive, commissioners standing together from multiple counties, got sheriffs standing together from multiple counties. We don't want it to be Coos County against the state. That's a mistake. We want it to be 10 counties saying the state system is illegal, there's fraud in our elections, we're taking back local control. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And every battle's a little different, every county's a little different, which is why you need a team in every county, and that's why you need strategists in every county, yeah.
With this state being no voter ID needed, how many other states about that?
No voter ID, only, I would say 5, maybe at most. Most of the states require voter ID.
Exactly, so wouldn't this be a little bit more of a headache and a, bigger bump in the road to try and go over this when they sit there? How are we supposed to get these people when we can't even?
It's a good point, and maybe as an example, for example, Trump signed an executive order making it illegal to have men and women's sports. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And I was at that meeting where he met with the governors a year ago in Washington, and the governor of Maine stood up and said, she said, I don't care what you say, we're gonna have men and women's sports. Now, okay, that's good, that's her job. And then Trump said, okay, well, which federal grants do we send to Maine? I'm gonna line these up. So in other words, there's, and in Oregon, an example like this is when he signed the executive order about DEI, Washington County said, we're going to forego the $140 million we get a year in federal grants to keep our DEI programs. So the leverage that the federal government has is money. Constitutionally, they don't have power, but money, they do have power because we've been giving tax dollars to them, which is stupid, but we are. That's a whole other discussion. We're giving them the money that controls us, which is dumb, but that's a whole other discussion. So it's the same way with your county commissioners. They can either control this or they can be threatened by the state. It's the same old argument. And what we're trying to do is wake the people up and take back your elections. You want free and fair elections? It ain't gonna happen with the state. We've just proven that. So.
Well, the biggest thing with our governor right now is she has, there has been federal money taken away. So what she does is kicks in another damn tax.
So the people are gonna not be happy about it.
Right.
General Flynn says, the reason why we don't have election reform yet is because the pain level isn't high enough. As the pain level gets higher and higher, people are gonna finally say, that's enough, we're done. And that's kind of where we're reaching. We're kind of at one of those tipping points. I think we're really close to that. And so that's why this is the right time for us to do this. Oh yeah, Greg, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt again.
No, you're doing good questions.
So my question is how would the county commissioner legally take over the voter rolls when our federal constitution says it's the state's job to perform the elections?
Except that, you're right, that's a great question, except that it's now been proven in court that the state is out of compliance with its own law and out of compliance with federal law. So therefore, the county doesn't have to use any illegal voter rolls. You don't have to comply with an uncompliant.
But how would the county claim legality that their voters, that their vote supersedes that of the state's role? Like that, I don't understand.
I appreciate the question. So let's say that the governor says, we're gonna take away all your guns. What would you say?
I'm not compliant.
You'd say you're not gonna comply, you don't comply.
I lost my
Why can you say that? You can say that because they are breaking the law by doing that, okay? And they are breaking the law by forcing you to use an illegal voter rolls. It's the same logic. You don't have to use something that's illegal. In fact, prove it in your own state courts to be illegal. So you don't have to use them. That's the point. But the counties have to kind of find their spine. And that's why I want to get counties together to say, yeah, we're not going to use any illegal rolls. Your question's dead on.
Can the sheriff declare martial law?
The sheriff can, and the sheriff can also say, and I was up in the state of Washington a couple of years ago and having this same discussion there. And people said, yeah, but what if the state says we have to use that? Whatever. And the sheriff stood up, and he had a big old cowboy hat, and he said, yeah, he says the state can say whatever they want. I got the keys to the building. And the sheriff has local jurisdiction. The sheriff can arrest the president of the United States. And there's only one person that can arrest the sheriff, and that's the coroner. And I've noticed that a lot of counties, the coroner and the sheriff are the same person. So it's interesting. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I appreciate the argument, but there's only one Congress that can take the votes from the state. So when Congress gets the vote, the state packages up the vote totals.
Okay, I see where
sends it
you're
to
going.
Congress. The county can't send Congress our own copy of votes.
I got you. So, I appreciate his question. So it's right on target. So I'm not saying that the state isn't going to report the votes. I'm saying that the county is going to tally the votes, and the county is going to deliver the tallies to the state for reporting. I'm not saying that the county is going to contact Washington DC and give the tallies. I'm saying the county's going to still use the state system, but now we know what the real tallies are because we did them locally. And we're giving that to the state, and we can police each part of the way. Remember last night, I got your hand. Remember last night when I mentioned that I've talked to probably 1,000 clerks across the country, and not a single one of them that I've asked has ever made sure that the numbers they turned into the state match the numbers at the state level. It's shocking, really. It makes sense, though, when you understand what the clerks do. The clerks don't read the law. The clerks go to statewide training. They learn the policies, they learn the checklist, and they do their job. And they do the check, and there isn't in the checklist a check mark for comparing your numbers with the state. It isn't there. So they never do it. And when I show them that their number doesn't match the state, they're always shocked. Like, what? I'm the one who turned in the numbers. How come they don't match? Great question. So
If the Dems are just gonna steal the election in Oregon anyways, who cares if they get certified?
they're capable of it at least.
Yeah.
And let me just play the rhetorical game, and he had your hand, so I want to get to you. Let's play the rhetorical game. Let's say there's zero fraud in your state. Let's say everything was perfect, okay? I would love to find that. I doubt that'll be the case, but I already know it's not. But let's pretend it is. The people don't trust it. That's not a good thing. Let's have the people trust, and the only way to get the people's trust restored is to allow the people to see. Let's allow the people to be able to audit. Let's allow the people to be able to see every part of the process and have confidence, yes.
You seem to be separating the state from us, but we are the state.
We agree, that's my
And that's what
point.
we gotta stand and say, no, the state's gonna do what the people in the state are, not just a few
Yes.
individuals saying, we're the state, we're gonna decide this for you.
So now let's play this out just a little bit, because I think we're a little off where I wanted to be, but that's okay. It looks like we have a little extra time too. here's the thing. Can you imagine the situation if 6 counties said, we're gonna run our own election, state, pound sand? Are you kidding? We're talking,
The black helicopters are gonna show up.
there would be tumult in your state. But guess what? Now you're forcing the hand of the legislature to address it.
Right.
They won't address it until you draw that line in the sand. Until then, it's just arguments and words, and everything will go ahead as it's been. So we're actually drawing the line in the sand, and then we're forcing the hand of the legislature, yes.
How will they fight this legally? What's the term, what will they do? Because they're gonna fight it. Is there an injunction? Is there something they're gonna take us to court?
Yeah, they'll take you to court, because that's all they can
What
do.
court? What level?
State level court, just like in California.
And how backed up are they?
Oh, no,
They have
that'll
infinite resources.
go top quick.
Yeah. It'll go up to the Supreme Court, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
And by the way, guess who else is gonna be back in? The Trump administration is
Okay.
back. So, and he's been assigned
That this vote total is what it is.
in their precinct.
In their precinct.
Yeah,
They submit their totals to the county clerk,
right.
and the county clerk then has that certification, and then she can give put all the counties together, and everybody knows what other counties have done. 'Cause
I think you mean precincts.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
What
what
other precincts have done, because it's public information.
Well, let's say I disagree. Let's say I'm in precinct 10 and you're in precinct 11. You said, yeah, we did a great job. And I'm challenging you.
Yeah,
Okay, well, the problem is right now, there's no way to verify whether you did it right or not.
right, but if.
But if we do it locally ourselves,
Mhm.
we've got a track record of everything. We can say, I want to go over that again. We should have the right to do that.
Yeah.
And there's 1,000 voters in there.
Yeah.
Well, they have 1,000 to 1,500 voters in each precinct.
Sometimes
know
it
it's-
has to reconnect it
And so
the timer
this-
on the app
This
gets
is
all
what we're
screwy. I've had
trying
that happen to me
to
before.
go to.
It looks like it's still
And
live.
it's really going back to something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because that's the
What
way we used to do
We
it.
used to do.
And that's,
that.
by the way, all of Europe does it that way now. And they do their elections in one day.
On paper.
They hand count the ballots at the end of the night and report the tallies in one day.
Yeah.
So does Somalia, and they have voter ID.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called ink.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
I
No.
didn't realize
But-
I discovered.
So there's
that
no
when
reason
it
we
was-
can't do that.
Try to use.
But that's why I brought up the
three
examples
hashtags
between
instead of
Florida and
five.
Alabama.
Five
It's
seems
really
to
a cultural
overload.
mindset.
3 or
You
less
guys are
seems
in
to
the
be good. You try to
mindset
stick
that
to 3
we
that's
like
super
this
relevant,
mail-in
whatever
voting. We're gonna
it
keep
is.
doing it that way. I get it. You're conditioned that way. But actually, that's not a very good way to run your election. It's you've lost too much chain of custody. Too many ballots are floating around there that can be
Something I've been
cheated
doing. It
with.
was just 3.
You've sacrificed integrity for convenience. Don't do that. Let's go back to integrity. And people say, well, it's too hard to get to the polls. Well, then don't go to the grocery store either, because if you can go to the grocery store, you go to the polls. This is too
But
important.
if you're at home with an iron lung,
We can send deputies to you.
boom.
Okay, and that's the way we used to do
There's
it.
always exceptions
Of
for
course,
people that
of course,
are
yeah.
out of state in the military or,
100%,
there's always those exceptions.
exactly. Like in Alabama, the 2% that aren't voting,
Behind you.
the 2% that aren't voting in person, I saw it. The 2% are people that are military or infirmed, and there's no reason we can't have some mail-in. Yes.
We have an appointment at 12:30, so you know.
I don't have any idea what time it is.
Quarter to 12.
And so we need to be leaving here.
So I do need to get to the data.
Yeah.
So I think I have given you guideposts at least,
Driving away at
right?
12:40.
And of how you need to be functioning and what our general goals are. How about if I put it that way? And we're gonna be moving that way. And I think we've done pretty good on that. Let me give you some specifics on the data, and then I can actually give you your data.
And then we're gonna bail.
And then we have to bail apparently. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give you 3 files.
Where are you from, Jim?
I'm gonna give you 3 files.
It's not showing up here.
I know, I'm about to fix that. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 files. Here's the first one. I'm loading. It's a big file. So somebody who has this has to have a good computer. But I just want to go over the first file first so you know what I'm about to give you. Okay. There we go. All right. It's called the complete file. And It's got a bunch of tabs across the bottom, you see them here. The first tab is that summary I showed last night. And it's just me summarizing the numbers. And the reason I did that really is just kind of internal check. You know how accountants do that? They add up the totals this way, this way. This is kind of my internal check, but I also used it for a summary last night. Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies of the rolls. And I forgot last night until I was in public and I had to do a little bit of shuffling there.
I was praying for you, brother. I was.
I forgot last night that I have your entire state voter rolls. And what I've done is I've gone county by county and pulled out the county by county. And there are 2 counties in your state that didn't change their rolls between 2022 and 2023. There are 2, and you're one of them. Your rolls do not change at all. The state copy of your rolls is identical in 2023 as it was in 2022, and I'd forgotten that. And last night when I put this up, I was like, oh, well, so really when I'm telling you that I'm giving you 5 copies of the rolls, but really, it's really only 4 different copies. I forgot about that. But anyway, I'm giving you them right here. Here's the January 21, here's the January 22, here's the January 23, which is identical to the previous one, by the way. And then March of 24 and 25. So I'm actually gonna give you guys each of those copies of the rolls. But then I'm also giving you, like for example, here's the March 24 rolls and the January 25 rolls. Here's who was removed from this one, and here's who was added to that. So I'm giving you all of the data that allow me to show you the churn in your rolls. It's a lot of data and it's a big file. I wanted to start this. I think if you then understand what this is, let's go to the summary page. If I take the most recent copy of your rolls over here, the most recent copy, and I add back in everybody who was removed, I call that the merged copy. So it's a master copy for your county. Everybody who's ever been in the rolls for the last 5 years is in this list.
You're gonna show it by address.
What's that?
I've got that.
Good. And yes,
It's
and
gonna
what
show
I've
it by
done-
address
and I've sorted it by precinct first, and then by address.
and age.
Yes, and then that way, whoever has this file can copy and paste your precinct out and give you your precinct. I'm not recommending that we give this file to everybody. It's a big file. And for example, last night when I was in Curry County, or 2 nights ago when I was
Yeah,
in
she
Curry
was
County.
struggling for her old program
We
to
waited
even open
20
it.
minutes for it to load into her computer.
Yeah.
It's a big, I have a screaming computer here. So,
Teresa showed me how to take the pertinent names out of these, and we've got them ready to go. People to canvass as soon as they're ready.
okay, well, hold off on that till you listen to what I'm about to say. Because, but if I'm repeating what Teresa said, great. But let me explain it to the group so everybody knows. All right, so what this is, and I can zoom out, you can see I've got all kinds of stuff, but let me zoom in so you can see what it is. It's sorted by precinct first, and then by address. So, ignore this column for a minute. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies of the voter rolls. And here is Bernice Jensen, age 83 as of 2020. Since I'm combining multiple rolls, I picked 1 year
For age.
as the reference age. So I picked 2020 as the reference age. And so Bernice Jensen was 83 as of 2020. She's never voted in any of these records that I have out here. She's never voted, so her propensity, is 0. And she didn't vote in Coos County in 2020. And she's never voted in any of these elections. She was registered to vote on January 5th, 2017, but she's been considered an active voter the whole time. So that's interesting that she's still an active voter in the voter rolls.
It's egregious.
It could potentially be. It's not necessarily egregious because if the clerk called her and said,
Right.
hey, Bernice, are you still living there? And
Oh, I'll show up next time.
yeah, then she's perfectly legit. But anyway, you can see the potential for that. The reason I just picked her is because it's right at the top of the list. Just want you to understand this is active or inactive, whether the voter is in that copy of the rolls, and then whether they voted in a general election. So these are only the general elections. But if you care about it, you can come over here and some of these are the primaries. So you can actually see whether they voted in primaries as well. But all I'm showing you here at this point is general elections. This column is an important column, and I need to spend a minute on it because people get confused by it. So let's say that Stephen lives in Multnomah County in 2020, and he votes in 2020 in Multnomah. Great, thank you, Stephen, for doing that. And he moves down here to Coos County in 2022, and he starts voting here. His voting record comes with him. So it will show in the voting that he voted in 2020, but he didn't vote in Coos in 2020. So I've given an extra column for that. If they voted in 2020 in Coos.
Okay.
You voted in 2020, but not here. And we could probably find an example if we just scroll down a little bit. Here's somebody who voted in county, but also in 2020. And you'll notice that one of these will come along here. There'll be a yes in this column. Let's see if I can find one.
What are all the emptiness? Just
They
you
didn't
can't
vote.
account for it at all, or?
Yes, the empties means that a ballot wasn't sent to them. And if a ballot was, and so you notice, for example, Robert Mulhausen was inactive in 2021, so he wasn't even in the rolls. So he couldn't have even voted in those. Perhaps he moved it, yes, you look at his registration date, May of 2020, so he probably didn't live here. So that's why there's no entries. Because this is 2014, 2016, 2018, 2020. His first chance to vote here was 2022, and he was mailed a ballot but did not vote. He was mailed a ballot again and did not vote. So he's never voted. In fact, he's missed 2 federals. So technically, he's supposed to be contacted by your clerk and say, hey, are you still here? Are you gonna vote? And if he doesn't answer that postcard, they're supposed to make him inactive. And maybe that's taking place but this was January of 2025, and maybe since then, maybe the clerk did her job. I'm not criticizing her, but the purpose of this, you notice I'm giving you like a history at each residence. Now, let's just for fun, I'm just gonna, okay, this is very interesting.
They're shaded.
Do you see how they're shaded? So this is one residence, and then you notice that these next are all the same residence. So I alternate them. So here's a new residence, here's a new residence. So it makes it easy to recognize. Now, you'll notice that all these people live at the same place. Now, that could just be that it's an apartment building and they didn't put the apartment numbers in. Could be. Could be that that's a assisted living place. It could be a homeless place.
Could it be an invalid ballot if they didn't put the apartment number?
It's not necessarily that. No, it's just they should have an apartment number and they don't. So I was looking over here at their parties. There's a lot of nabs in there. See all the non-affiliated voters. So my guess is most of these got put in the rolls automatically somehow. Maybe it's a drug habit. I don't know. Look at the ages. They don't look particularly old to me, so it's probably not unlikely to be assisted living. It's probably like a homeless shelter or something like that. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything illegal about any of that.
So drive by and take a look.
So, yeah, so you know what I do right now, if I was interested in that, I go on Google. And I look up 1200, whatever address it is. And if it's a 3-bedroom, single-family dwelling, then I'd be pretty suspicious right now, right? If it's a city shelter, okay, now I know what's going on, right? And
Is it Deborah Center?
what's it?
I was wondering where it is.
Understand from the local.
He's checking it out right now.
Yeah.
1200 Newmark,
Yes.
Nancy Devereaux Center.
That's what I thought it was. I was gonna say, yeah.
What is it?
Deborah Center.
Devereaux Center.
And what is that?
People can come
It's
to the
like
registry to get
a
mail.
homeless drug
Oh,
rehab.
Exactly what I suggested, right?
Yeah.
Now, you'll notice that at that place, nobody has voted since 2020.
I think it closed down.
Closed down,
down.
they're still doing their office stuff there.
No, it's totally closed. Somebody else bought it.
They did? They
But
did.
nobody has voted there
That's
since
just the
2020.
front, Paul.
Yeah, they're still there. They're not being moved. They're still there.
They just, you know how they Those kind of
Yeah.
people do that kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying, they're
Well,
still
that's what I've
there.
been told.
No, I researched and looked into it, they're still there.
But some
But
people
not
like
clients.
Matthew Cahill, he's been voting from there for a long time. He's a regular voter from there. And Catherine Freeman, she's voted several times there.
Can we look at one of our names?
We're about to do that. And Matthew Haida, looks like he only voted one time ever in 2018. So that's one of those what I call a low propensity voter. That's, when it's one time, we find a lot of fraud in those. So, but anyway, let's follow my instructions. What I wanted to first do was just show you what the various columns were. Now you know what all the columns are. But now I want to tell you to do what I really want you to do.
Tell me.
I don't want you to just start at the top of the list and going down. That's a mistake.
Everything you know, huh?
What I want you to do,
I'm listening.
what I want you to do is I want you to look yourself up. So let's just look one of you up. Who wants to volunteer?
I will.
Yeah, what's your address?
12501 Highway 241.
You can ask Chris. I took people from Goose Bay here and did that in this very room.
This is you right here?
Yep. Well, that's my wife, but yeah, I'm right under it.
And so it looks like there are 2 people registered at your house.
Good voting, man.
Yeah.
And it looks like you vote a lot. You're active in every copy of the rolls that we had, and and I see how old your lovely bride was when when in 2020. So I don't see anything suspicious at your residence.
Cool.
It looks good. What about your neighbor?
Yeah, Lionel and Carol, I see both of them.
And what about your other neighbors?
I mean, they're miles away, so I don't know.
Oh, because you're out in the country.
Yeah.
Now look at this for a minute.
They're my neighbors, I can tell you.
This person, Lionel Yost,
Yost? Yeah, that's my landlord.
and he's voting like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But somebody else is in the rolls here, Stephen Bowen, who never voted ever, and he's in the rolls now as an inactive.
At Lionel's address?
Yeah.
Nobody lives there but Lionel. His wife passed away years ago, and I don't know.
Discrepancy here.
I don't know, it's Stephen Bowen.
Researched, investigated.
So, remember I showed you how you have 105% of your people registered? You have tons of these in your rolls
I've been there for
that are supposed to have
decade.
been removed already. They're supposed to have been removed, and they're not. That's why you're out of compliance with federal law. Now, someone might say, well, who cares? They're inactive, we're not mailing a ballot to them anyway. Except, what happens is these people somehow get activated.
And then deactivated real quick.
And then ballots get mailed to them. And so it's sort of like keeping a credit line of potential fraud. It's another door, as Steven says. They should be out of the rolls, and they're not. Okay.
Where
So-
did this data come from?
What?
Where did this data come from?
Good question. So the Secretary of
accurate?
State, we have copies from the Secretary of State. They give us a copy for the whole state. Now, a lot of times people go to the party to get the data. Don't do that, because the party has already pre-filtered it to take out all the people that they can't get a hold of anyway, because they're focusing on, we want our high propensity voters. We're targeting
Get
the
out
people.
the vote.
Get out the vote. So the party already pre-filters it. You don't want that list. You're trying to find fraud. You want the complete list. So notice, I didn't pick your address, you did, and we've already found a problem.
I also see another one, 12924, Highway 241, down a little bit.
Down here?
Yeah, that is the campground.
And they never voted from there.
I know who Teresa Marcoux is. She moved out of that campground 9 years ago. She lives in Missouri now. And
She's still in your rolls as an inactive voter. Now you notice, did I just tell you this is what is wrong with your rolls? And now we're actually looking at it with your own eyes. I didn't make this up. Now,
But you're a wackadoodle.
but I'm a wackadoodle. Now, and notice that he has local knowledge
Right.
that I don't have. He knows this person, and he knows she moved away 9 years ago. I don't know that. And there is no filter I can put on there to be as good as your local knowledge. So one of the first things that a lot of people want to do when I give them these data is they say, oh, we're just going to pull it, we're going to run some algorithm on it. We're going to pull out just a few. Don't do that. And that's exactly what Marty did with you, right? He gave you a list. Don't do that. Give people their own neighborhood.
Right.
And let them look. Imagine if each one of us looked in our own neighborhood, you know, you could have 10 cases of fraud right here. Just because of one in each neighborhood.
I've got 2 or 3 at my address.
Yeah. Okay, let's look you up.
Local corruption at its best.
But anyway, now, did we find fraud here? No, we didn't find fraud. However,
We found discrepancies.
we found,
Well, you found a possible door that could be opened.
yeah, let's pretend that it's inactive, and then suddenly there was a yes here that they voted in the last election. And he's like, whoa, she couldn't have voted in that election. She hasn't been here for 9 years. Then you see where they caught a case of fraud. See how that works? So, all right, let's look up your address.
62841
And we
62841.
Southwest 12th Road.
Oh, I Control Z. I actually made a mistake. Control find. There we go. Say it again.
62841
That's probably all we need. Is that you?
Southwest 12th Road.
Yep, there you are. Okay, so there you are. There's your residence.
There's me. Nehemiah moved about 10 years ago.
So Paul Rousseau, that's you.
That's me.
And you're a good voter. Way to go, bud. And then Nehemiah. Who's Nehemiah?
My son, he moved about 6 years ago down to Curry County.
He lives in Curry County now, but yet he was still in the voter rolls in 2020.
Yeah, we got a ballot for him too.
And you got a ballot for him? Wait a minute. How can you get a ballot for him? He's inactive.
The ballot was sent to him.
That's my point.
Wow.
They're not supposed, that's illegal. They're not supposed, so that's tab 4. Tab 1 was illegal voting, fraudulent voting. Tab 2 is illegal. Tab 3 is dirty voter rolls. Tab 4 is they're breaking the law. They're not following the law is, and if you ask the Secretary of State, they'll say, we don't send ballots to inactive voters. Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You see where this is going? And that's just that's another chance to steal.
And you see your own neighborhood.
And notice, he was able to do that.
I couldn't have found that.
I wouldn't have found it. Yes, Greg.
So, taking him at face value,
Yeah.
wouldn't the spreadsheet have an in there for sent a ballot not returned?
Yes.
But it's blank, and he says that he got a ballot. So
This year?
how would you
Last
reconcile the
election.
difference?
Good question. And I would be lovely if you had that ballot in your hand.
I gave it to my son.
Got you.
Hey, this showed up in the mail for you.
So Greg is right though, because even though we know it happened, we don't have evidence. So what, it doesn't get to go in the evidence binder
Right, doesn't belong there.
because it's not provable. And Greg's dead on right. You can't put anything in the evidence binder that's gonna go public that you can't prove. So if you wanted, you could put that story in your supplementary binder and collect stories like
If
that.
I get a ballot for him this year, like Sarah Small. will-
It happened twice.
A lot of people tell me, oh, Dr. Frank, I got a ballot for somebody who lived here 5 years ago. I said, what'd you do with it? I destroyed it. Oh, don't do that. We need people to save it because it proves that the system isn't working right. Okay, but Greg's question is spot on.
There's no way to find
I'm gonna look
that
up.
particular ballot in the voting, after the voting.
Right, there's no way to pull it out, it's anonymous.
Okay.
Although you guys are, clear ballot here, right? Then there is a way, because your ballots are not anonymous. I think
They told us
mention
they
that
were.
last night? So when I was in the Washington, and I'm getting off topic maybe,
Nope.
but when I was in the Washington County case, they gave me the EMS, the election management system. I had to sign an NDA, and we showed in court that every one of your ballots is traceable to the person. This is a unique QR code on every ballot. And you're being told, oh no, that's just the precinct style. Wrong. It's your name and precinct style. And so in other words, I know for the 2020 election, how every person in Washington County voted on every issue, which candidate. I don't just know whether they voted, I know exactly how they voted. That's
Wrong.
That's not
wrong, yeah.
okay. Now, the question is does your Constitution in your state of Oregon guarantee you the right to an anonymous ballot? Does it?
I will look that up.
Research
I'll do
it.
the research.
In North Carolina, it specifically says in their Constitution, you're not entitled to an anonymous ballot. And they number every ballot, and every ballot is traceable to a person, and their justification is they say, if we find out that you voted and you weren't supposed to, we're taking that, we're gonna go back to the file, and we're taking your ballot out and changing the total. So it depends on the state what the constitutional right. I think in your state, you're entitled to an anonymous
I
ballot.
think so too.
And if that's true, then I want you to realize that's a tab 4 in your evidence binder. Clear ballot, which you're using, are not anonymous ballots, and that's illegal.
Voter by mail passed. How was voter by mail passed in Oregon? Was it the legislature or did we?
1998, your legislature passed, yes.
2 years after.
May I ask a quick
Yeah.
question?
We need to go.
My address in there.
Yeah.
I don't mean to.
No, you go ahead, but.
Go ahead, but look, I'm trying to be fast, so forgive me for rushing you.
So what constitutes a move? So you said your son moved from your house 6 years ago. Would he have to update his ID in order for that to update the rolls, or what would
He
constitute
moved to
that
Curry.
kind of
It'd be fun to look him up and see if he's in the Curry voter rolls.
He just probably did it, because when he got the ballot, he said, I need to re-register down here.
There we go.
So he re-registered.
And
down
so
here.
that constitution, now legally,
6
is
months.
he allowed to vote in Curry or is he allowed to vote here? There's a residency requirement. What is it? And the residency requirement might say he's allowed to vote in the federal election either place, but he must vote where he lives currently. That might be the residency requirement. So he may not be able to vote the entire ballot here, if that makes sense. But anyway, it's a great
Learn the
question.
law.
All right, so you guys understand what this is? And my instructions to you are as follows. Get your own precinct, look in your own neighborhood, find some suspects and research them. And I would say find, if it's just your own precinct, find 30 suspicious residences. Look them up on Zillow, look them up on Facebook, look them up on Google, and narrow that 30 down to say 10. And then one Sunday afternoon between 2 and 4 o'clock, you and your wife, always a man and a woman, go knock on 10 doors and confirm what you found. And if each of you did that in a couple of weekends, you'd have all the fraud and illegal voting. That's what I've learned. Because this kind of narrows down the list for you and you quickly find
Are
it.
we gonna have any of these spreadsheets?
I'm giving them to you.
Great.
That's the whole point.
All right.
And so, but the thing is,
Mary, you have this?
Yes,
okay, so I'm gonna delete close this here. What's going on here?
Pack up.
Okay, now that's, I'm gonna give you 3 spreadsheets. That's the first one, and that's a big monster.
Is there a link to a website?
I'm gonna give you an FTP link.
Okay.
It's a monster, so I'm encouraging not all of you to have it. You can if you want, but I recommend you not do that.
The merged one that you don't have,
Well, you gotta-
that is just for Coos County.
That's just for Coos County. The next, so that's one file. I call it the complete, and it's a monster. Then another one I give is called the merged only. It's 10 times smaller because it doesn't have all the removed and added and all the multiple copies. It's just the merged only. That one you might want on your computer, but probably you still just want just your.
If everybody just has their precinct.
That's
with a
the
merge.
best.
That'd be the best.
But then there's one more, you're right, there's one more file that I'm giving people, and it's this one. What I've done is I've taken the merged. Whoops, sorry, hang on a second.
Oh, hey, just so you know.
Thank you, boss. I think this is gonna wrap up about right, you know what I'm gonna say. Teresa, by the way, is amazing, you guys, she's made all of this possible. Come on.
You got a half hour, brother.
Okay, this is annoying. Hang on, guys. It's just because this projector doesn't have enough resolution. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Now we're good. All right. This is the same merged file, but what I've done is I've gone to each address and found the oldest person at that address. And then I put that age over here. And then I've sorted the list from oldest to youngest. So in other words, it's like sorted from oldest to youngest, but keeping the residences together.
I think they call that the blue zone, where people live a long time.
Yeah. Now, why would I do that? Because I've learned that age is a pretty fast way to find dead voters. So for example, at this address, 910 Elrod Avenue, there's somebody who was 104 years old as of
That was
2020.
legit, I know who you're talking about.
That's Vida.
That's Vida.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she did pass away.
And it looks like she was active in the rolls in 2021, and it looks like she was voting pretty regular at Girl Ida. And then she was taken out of the rolls as of 2022, and she hasn't voted since.
She passed away.
And she passed away. Now, let's pretend that, do you know when she passed away?
Last year.
Last year?
Yeah, it was during COVID.
Recently?
Was it during COVID?
Yeah, it was during COVID.
That was 2020.
Yeah.
Did she pass away before the
I
election?
think it was 2022.
Okay,
Oh,
but
okay.
that's not, okay, but you see where I'm going. So what I would do now, pretend we didn't know by that.
She was 104 years old.
Yeah, I believe it. But let's pretend we didn't know that. I would go onto Google right now, and I would say, Vida Louise Rickner obituary, obituary. Click, and boom, up will come her obituary, and let's say it said, you know, the lovely Vida Louise passed away in 2023,
I will
and
research that
and
tonight.
she's
My wife
survived
is.
by so-and-so and so-and-so, and then we know that that vote's perfectly fine. But let's say it says she passed away in 2018, or in May of 2020. Well, it says right here that she voted in 2020. Oops. See how we're gonna find dead voters? And you start from oldest to youngest, and you start going through, and you'll find, my experience has been, you'll typically find a couple in the older ages, but you're really gonna start hitting the gold mine
80s.
around in the 80s. You're gonna find a lot of people that have passed away before the election, but there are votes being tallied for them. And you're gonna collect those. Now, what you're gonna also find is that there, in this case, see, this is a place where the system worked. She passed away and they took her out. Great, congratulations, well done.
Well, David's an honest guy, so I'm pretty sure he took care of it.
Yeah, but here's another residence that has 1, 2, 3, the Engel.
Home.
Oh, that's the same residence.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Let's look at this one here.
That's what I know.
Here was somebody who was 103 years old, Myrtle Wilmot. And it looks like the same exact situation. She voted and was taken out, okay? Or if I just scroll down here a little bit, this is an interesting residence, the Heba Brands.
And Lila.
A lot of voting going on at that residence. A lot of voting going on at that residence. But all the same last name, so not necessarily very suspicious. But I would still look up. She was still considered active as of 2023, and she voted in 2020. What if she was dead, deceased after 2020, and she was still active for 2 more elections?
That's a problem.
Then you would say, okay, she was mailed ballots after she was dead, at least 2 times. So that's an example of egregious voter rolls, that you're mailing ballots, and that's pretty irresponsible to me
Inexpensive.
and expensive.
Yep.
All right, so you understand what this list is?
But how we're looking it up is literally go on, put the name in and looking for the obit.
Exactly. In San Joaquin County, where I just came from, 2 ladies sat at their computer for 1 month. And they have 400,000 voters in San Joaquin, and they just started looking them up this way. And when they had looked up 2,700 names, they had found 49 people who died long before the election. Yeah, ballots were counted in San Joaquin, 49 dead voters. And they just did it this way. So it's a way to find dead voters. Now, in your binder, I'm not recommending that in your fraudulent category that it's all dead people. I think that's a mistake. It would be nice to have, say, 3 dead voters and 3 voters who moved to another state and are voting in another state, but still somehow. In other words, mix it up, because you don't want it to just sound like there's only one problem. There's a lot of problems with the system, and we're trying to show the too many doors, as Stephen puts it. I'm not going to use that term. Too many doors, too many ways to
No
cheat,
fee.
and we need to close those doors. So you see so the 3 files I'm going to give, and I already have the FTP links up there. An FTP link, all you do is click on it and download it to your computer. So the team can have this. The 3 files, the complete file, the merged only, and the merged only sorted by age. And like I said, I recommend you start in your own precinct first.
No, the neighborhood.
Yeah, our neighborhood, yeah. Okay, I think I've done what I need to do today. I've given you some guideposts about, okay, how about if I just spend a minute or 2 telling you about how you're gonna fail? Because I work with a lot of teams, and this is how they fail. First, they get distracted by the data, because it's engaging. And it's once you start finding fraud, it's like a treasure hunt. Yeah, it's like everybody's rushing and working on their computer. Hey, that's like fighting a war and all you're doing is collecting ammunition. You've got to have strategy, you've got to have intel, you have to have promotion, you have to recruiting. What happens is people start focusing only on data and you forget about all the other categories. We have a lot of work to do. Don't only work on the data. So that's the first thing. The other thing is people they do too many things and they lose focus. We need our binders done. Get your binders done, and you need to build your movement here. Keep your focus. We're building binders. We're building movement.
But Dr. Frank, some people come up with new whiz-bang ideas.
Yeah, like I love Catherine Engelbrecht from True the Vote, and she and Scott Phillips are great people. Greg Phillips. But the problem is they were trying to get people to clean their voter rolls, and so a lot of people say, "Well, Dr. Frank, we took a break from the 7 steps because we're working on cleaning our voter rolls." I get it, but guess what? You're off topic.
Yeah.
Just stay focused, get her done, because we're trying to catch you up to the other counties so we can act together, and you're behind. So stay focused.
What's your projected date that you want everybody ready?
So last year, my projected date was late summer because we were waiting for the Judicial Watch lawsuit ruling to come in. And it kept getting delayed and kept getting delayed. And while we were waiting for it, we discovered, hey, wait a minute, we've got a whole bunch of counties over here on the east side of the Cascades. We want to get them involved too. So I still think the Judicial Watch thing isn't finalized. I think Roger Shipman is.
That I'm not sure, but it was about 800,000.
Yeah, Roger Shipman is the plaintiff in that. He's from Salem. And the Judicial Watch was trying to get him to settle so that they could get paid and moved on to the next lawsuit. But I'm not sure where that stands.
I got all research.
But as of, I think, even October, just somewhere in there, it was still live. But anyway, what I was original, like strategy's always changing. Our original strategy was when the lawsuit came down, counties were gonna stand up and say, we don't have to use the rolls because they're illegal. That was our original plan. But then we realized, gee, we could get a whole bunch more counties. Let's hold off on that. Now think about this. Would it be better in Oregon to have all the counties announce at the same time?
Yeah.
Or would it be better for 3 counties to announce one week,
No.
3 counties the next week, 3 counties the next week? In other words, it makes the news over and over again.
What they would do.
There's an argument both ways. There's a good argument both ways. And the argument supporting all of them at once is it takes the heat off the counties. The argument for dribbling it out over time is it keeps kicking it up into the public consciousness. And also then you're giving other counties a chance to join in along the way. You're building a movement. So there's good arguments on both sides. And I think we just need to see how it plays out. Sort of like in a war, you don't always know what's going to do, but you have contingencies. I would say you can, if you guys are focused, you can have your binders ready in 2 to 3 months.
Okay, I'm also gonna have to leave, so I just wanted to tell you that I'll get a hold of all of you to find out the best time to meet.
Very good. And I'm going to turn this off so that you can cool down. And I think we did pretty good. So how did I do on time? Is that a reasonable time?
12:18.
Yeah. Is that a good answer to your question?
Yeah.
Satisfactory?
Well, that's a hint.
Here's a question, Greg. You think we get some Democrats involved? Think about it. Have I said anything unreasonable? You might
There's a
disagree.
lot you said that I think Democrats would agree with in actuality.
That's what I think.
But I think
Voters or leaders?
sorry.
Democrat voters or Democrat leaders?
I don't know.
But my point, I'm asking you a rhetorical, but kind of a real question. I don't care about Republican and Democrat. I want good elections. And so I think there are lots of great Democrats that think the same. So if we had both sides, imagine how much faster we could go. Because then there's less, I shouldn't say no opposition, there's less opposition. So I'm not proposing, I'm not telling you what to do. But
I don't think Democrats would argue with saving money. I don't think Democrats would argue with having a good voter roll laid out. I don't think Democrats are going to argue with free and fair election. Those are all things that
Right.
I agree with, absolutely, wholeheartedly.
So wouldn't it be cool
Join forces.
if we join forces? And maybe we don't work together every day because maybe we don't always get along, But maybe if they had a team, I'd be happy to coach them. And then maybe we had two teams and then on the day that we're reading the 10 cases into the election, wouldn't it be interesting to have some of us read and have some of them read? That would be a way better outcome as far as I'm concerned.
Or how about a Republican and a Democrat knocking on the doors on a Sunday together?
Why not?
In their own precinct.
And why not have them work together to clean the rolls? Because guess what? That's the way we used to do it. There was a precinct captain in each party, in each precinct, and they cleaned the rolls.
Together.
Think about that. That would be a grand slam as far as I'm considered. If the parties work
That's
together,
America right there.
that is the best outcome of all. But I gotta honestly say, most of the time, the Democrats think I'm a wackadoodle and they don't wanna deal with me. I get it. I understand because there's a lot of wackadoodles out there. But hopefully you've seen that I'm not that guy. I'm here with data, I'm equipping them. Everything we do is gonna be real, and it's gonna be confirmable. So, you know,
I've never got evil.
I'm not an evil guy, I'm a nice guy.
I've never met a Democrat in person that wants to meet in the middle ground though.
Oh, I do.
I think there's one sitting right here.
Every other week. I go down to every single protest downtown and I have met a lot of them. Greg included. At first, me and Greg butted heads a lot. But just this past Saturday, we sat down and talked for what, half hour, 45 minutes?
Perfect.
I mean, and I've had so many good conversations down there. So to classify that they don't want to meet middle ground, I wouldn't say that entirely. I'd say there are several of them that want nothing to do it on both sides. But yeah, there's very fine people on both sides. Yeah.
It's a strong feeling topic.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to have strong feelings, but that doesn't mean we cheat each other.
No,
Can we find some middle ground and can we work together?
I hope so.
That would be a
That's why I go down
How
there.
about voting by mail? Do you agree with that? Do you think Democrats would agree with that?
Democrats like voting.
Why?
Because it makes it easier for people to vote, and we have very small evidence of fraud in that system.
Well, now we're able to look it up.
If you're able
They just
to,
proved that there is multiple.
Well, if
fraud.
they
Well,
change it from state to
that's-
local.
That's a debate.
I'm sorry, that's not what I saw. But if we can prove it, that is a different discussion. If we can prove fraud in mail-in votes that altered an election, I think that's a discussion Democrats would have with you.
But a lot of
But-
Democrats
That's
will
why we're gonna
never
prove.
find out.
Well, I
Never
think the
find-
problem.
Because they didn't come and you did.
Okay, yeah.
I respect you.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you're here, Greg.
I 100%, which is why I always
Thank
give you room.
Thank you for allowing me to sit and listen and ask questions. I appreciate
We
your
engage.
responses and answers.
I actually think you might be the main reason. Oh, yeah, you want
Which
to
is
back?
what Democrats.
Can I give you a fist bump? My hands are sweating right now. You like my jacket on.
Which is what Democrat.
I can tell our Democrats that are friends. So if you don't talk, they keep inviting me to the meeting, and I just have time to go. And I said, I'm not sure if you guys want me there, because I'm a little vocal.
There you go.
You know, the thing is, I misspoke, I guess, I do know one down ahead, Tom Lakey.
I'm not one of you. I get along with Travis.
I thought I chambered it.
Most
All right, well,
Democrats that I know are moderate.
all right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Appreciate y'all. And yeah, make sure to leave some comments, subscribe, and peace out, Girl Scouts.
I can agree with that. Revamp